Rutgers, which is, the main state university. And then he also went to the consortium people. And as soon as they heard there was a New Jersey lawyer who spoke English in China, he said the woman smiled from ear to ear and said she wanted to talk to me. Well, I haven't called them yet because of the holidays, and we don't have a web page. I thought we'd have one by now. We still don't have one, and it doesn't look like we're going to have one for another month.
What if you sent me the text? I can just throw up a web page over here. Do you have you want to have a U.S. kind of presence as well as a China presence?
Yes.
Because I could put up a simple one just to get started if you send me some images and the text.
Well, we do have a simple one just to get started, and that's as far as it got. If you look at, I think it's USA.com.
I missed the start of that domain.
ALLWAY.com. AllwayUSA.com, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's through Michael Huang.
Michael Wang, who's that?
Wait, isn't he the translator that you connected me with?
Oh. He's an employee.
Because it says Allway as on the bank account in Bank of America.
Yeah, because Allway is the main company.
Got it.
And Michael is a translator at GVCC, which is one of the subsidiaries. That's the one that gets the visas for the students. So they do a lot of translating work, and they're pretty good at it, because sometimes you have to get it translated word for word, like a sworn statement, and sometimes you want to use a little bit of editing and make it nice in English as well as it was in Chinese, so it can't be word for word.
Sure, a straight Google translation, translategoogle.com, doesn't always catch it.
Right. And I think Chinese is like French and Spanish. They put the verbs in a different place than English does, among other things. But my thought is, well, if these people need students and we can get some sort of a fee from them, either the traditional fee for finding a student, like almost like a employment agency gets. They have these student agencies. They pay them a fee based on, I think it's between 10 and 15% of the first year's tuition. Or a fee for services, like pre-screening them and blah, blah, blah. So, like I talked to one college that my cousin works at, and he set it up for me to talk to them. And as soon as I said fees, they said, well, we can't deal with you. That was the end of that conversation. So I've realized we have to be flexible about these fees, and the best thing is, value-added fees.
Right.
So like at that college, they had just hired a guy who was going to go and do exactly what we're planning on doing. And I think he thought we'd do it for him, do his job for him for nothing. And then he'd look good, and not have to work that hard. And as soon as I started talking about getting paid, he realized I was competing with him.
Sure.
So there's going to be a lot of that because the colleges are starting to realize that this is a good way to cover their shortfall. Now, the website I just gave you, I'm looking at it now.
It's got an address. I'm looking at it too. It's got an address. It has a product center, business consulting, franchise.
So this is the overall motherboard. I mean, the mother one, and then the education school one and agency ones would all be subs on this. And so if you click on one of those things, you'll see a type of 404 thing where I just said, you don't have the authority to be here.
Right. I clicked on Dream House because that sounds the most logical to go to the United States. So you need something up pretty quickly if you're going to be talking to U.S. colleges.
Yeah.
So if you send me the text of what you want, I'll put up a simple site just to get ready for you.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Because, I mean, even if it just explains, you know, this is a beginning site, we will be expanding. This is the time we've got students XYZ, you know. You decide on the direction and face you want to place it, and I'll go ahead and put it up. I have, there's a situation here where the Saudi government gives students a scholarship. The students then have to find a college that matches, and a friend of mine is handling some of that, and I don't know if there might be some synergy here.
Oh, sounds like there might be, yeah.
Because he's already doing some allocation, and instead of you reinventing the wheel, it might be worth it for you to pay him some of those fees so that it's already smooth. One of the innovations that he's come up with is when the student comes over, there's a link to some sort of a mentor over here. And
that's one of the things that I was working on, was trying to get the professors to be mentors. And then a friend of mine who was a college professor, he said, well, only the young ones who don't know anything are going to be the only ones who are willing to do that. And so then I thought about, well, we have this huge Chinese American community in America who are, many of whom are upset because their children don't know Chinese. And I was thinking, well, let's set up a like the old pen pal thing.
Right.
We'll call it e-pals or iPals or whatever you want to call it, and have them talking to each other, and then the parents will be happy on both sides of the board.
And they can walk them through. These are the steps that I had to go through with a Saudi student. He didn't know if Scranton, Pennsylvania was a good school. So I looked at the website, you know, did a little YouTube looking, comes back, it's, you know, Catholic, and they have a pretty strong international presence. He going there would get a lot of attention because there aren't a lot of Saudis there. Saudi government is on a hearts and minds campaign. They're wanting to get their their 25 to 27-year-olds over to the U.S., learn English for a year, spend another 2 years getting their master's degree, and then bring them back home. They will have skills for when the Saudi government decides to pull the lever and open opportunities for women, allow them to start driving, and shift business practices to Western standards. I mean, right now there's a lot of graft. You want something done, you've got to have, and they're planning a shift, but the only way to do that is to have the managers in place who have those skills. And